Trump gave Ukraine 10% tariffs, and that's why all the Chinese and all the Europeans will bring all the products to Ukraine, and Ukraine will be able to sell to America for 10% tariffs instead of selling to China for 85% profit. So they're building these warehouses, they're waiting for these golden rains to rain on them while millions are dead. No one is capable to work. The country is destroyed. Children are sitting in basements. Many immigrated. Veros doesn't see the poverty. They claim we have freedom of speech.
Prove to me that you are alive.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to Prove to Me That You're Alive, Lightcast, the most shadow banned podcast in the whole entire world. I want to give a huge shout out to my man Daniel. May he rest in power. Today we have the one, the only, the always bright, the always shining, the always beautiful Snezhana Egorova. She's back in the studio. I'm gonna give her a round of applause. How you doing, Snezhana? Hi, Nazar. I would like to do something nice for you like that too, but I'm a little limited at my technological advances, so I'm gonna give you a little round of applause that you exist. No, really. You know what? Thank you that you exist. I have first question. How have you been? Because we all invite you to all these channels. We want to hear your geopolitical and philosophical experts. How is Snezhana Egorova? Simple. Everything's good. I'm getting ready for Easter, and I hope that all of us friends that are joined in hand, that we pray that more brighter days come our way, and that all the goodness will be resurrected, and we will remember that we are human beings and we are all on this one planet together as a family. How do Christians celebrate in Turkey? I know it's a small percentage, but how do they celebrate? Well, in Turkey they don't really celebrate Easter because it's a Muslim country. They have Ramadan and other holidays. We all living here, immigrated here. We respect all of their cultures, and they respect our cultures too. They respect Christians as well here. We have small communities where Christians coexist. Unfortunately, because I am afraid for my safety, or I'm concerned, I don't travel to these a lot of populated but of course there are people that bake pascas and they go to bless it. They have even a small community of the Moscow patriarchy, but mostly it's universal patriarchy of orthodoxy, Constantinople. And so just like everywhere else they celebrate. So I think it's all up to how each individual sees his holidays. Do they follow the rituals and the traditions? Some go to communion. If a human being is searching for God this way, and the human being understands that he's going towards God this way, it's acceptable. We're everywhere. Thank you. Happy Easter. uh, Turkey has this ancient Christian sect. It's like 5% or something. So I was just wondering if those people let everyone else know that they still exist during holidays like Easter. Well, look, I really want people to understand that Turkey is the descendants of the Ottoman Empire, sorry. And the Ottoman Empire, as we know, they had a lot of different religions and a lot of different denominations, and no one was really prosecuted for their religion beliefs. Muslims, they don't try to sculpt another human being towards their belief. They will respect if you are being respectful and you live by your own rules. That's your own right. And you shouldn't want to convince someone of your convictions. And Turkey, it's a pretty modern state, but in the last few years they've been really propaganding Islam back into the culture. But they respect Christians in Turkey. And of course, we have the tradition of orthodoxy, of the universal patriarchy of the Orthodox Church. And on one of these last Paschas, I went to one of these services, an Orthodox church. It's just like we remember back home. They have the little Christmas eggs, and uh, everything gets blessed, and there's no problem. It's really important. It's a wonderful tradition in that sense. And we really need to learn from the Turks the way they approach uh, with goodwill other cultures and other traditions. And a lot of people forget that in the Quran, the word Isa is mentioned more than Muhammad. So Muslims, they acknowledge Christ as a big prophet. So what do you think about communion? I'm going to ask you some weird questions today. Should a person should a person do communion on Pascha, on Easter? I don't really want to get into all of that right now because it's very personal. It's very individual. The relationship that a human being has towards religion and tradition. And there are many confessions and religious institutions, because that Christianity is very divided. There's Orthodoxy, there's Catholicism, there's very many different confessions and denominations. Throughout all its history, Christianity produced all of these different denominations, and whenever you start arguing who's right, you find yourself in a rabbit hole, because of course an individual experience matters a lot. The way you approach these things, the way you were raised, the way you've seen in the family. So these kind of conversations I would like to skip in our easygoing conversations. So I just I'm convinced that a person that is really about God and their religion, they see God as love. They want to see enlightenment. They want to see goodwill for humanity. Try to understand other humans, and also confess their bad deeds. And I think it's fine that we have all of these revenues or avenues for people to evolve spiritually, as long as it's not causing fanatic um fanatic thoughts or thoughts of destruction or takeover. So that to me is not godly. So I would, skip that kind of conversation, because if we, I would like to focus more on the things that we can prove in life, because we all know that, it's a hard life. We all die one day. Uh, but any religion tells us that the main purpose of life is to return to God, for your soul to return to God, and that your soul is eternal, and God is eternal, and love, hope, and belief to us is everything. That it proves that we are connected to the higher source, and that we want to see something wonderful in this world and good days for next generations. Because of whatever is going on right now, the way people easily command other people's lives and destroy many lives, and all they have is destruction. That's not godly at all. That has no idea in it at all. That's satanic. That's from the devil. That's from hell. And we are observing this around every corner. It would be better if all of these people from different confessions and different denominations, if they want to follow God and evolve spiritually, they should not only want this for themselves, they should want this for everyone, for humanity, for their neighbors, because we are one living organism on this planet. And we cannot think that if a atomic bomb drops somewhere across the ocean, that it's not going to affect us. It's going to affect us, because we're basically living in the same apartment, but we're trying to burn each other down, and burn the neighbor across the wall is down. So I'm hoping that we return to that godly nature. I'm glad that you mentioned this, because I wanted to ask you something more human, something more personal, because we know you are a famous media personality. We know that you are a renowned actress, not only of movies but theater. You're a legendary figure in Ukraine. But last few years, ever since the conflict started, Snezhana Egorova became to us this geopolitical expert and a philosopher in a lot of ways. I won't be afraid to put you on that pedestal. If you want to pick any of these categories, it's fine. But to me, it's both. So right now, I go to Snezhana Egorova for geopolitical opinions or for philosophical opinions, philosophy on any subject matter. And while we are going through this horrible time in the last 3 years, we turn to philosophers like this, like Dugin or Shchelin. And, Shchelin, I don't take him very seriously. He's still young. Dugin is a serious philosopher. And then we have Snezhana Egorova, our older sister, our younger sister. You became to us like this leader, this thought leader in the last few years. And all of these big channels are dragging you all around. Tell us this and tell us that. This is what I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you something simple. Maybe it's not so simple. Maybe it's fundamental. Maybe it's important, because you became this symbol of this human, of this woman that is going straight, is not giving up, and is still trying to help everyone. So this is what I wanted to ask you. When you moved to Turkey and the whole Zelensky sanctions were imposed on you, how did you live through that time period? How did you live through those moments, and what helped you go on? That's the question I have. Well, listen, you give me all these adjectives, um, so it will take me a long time to. Are adjectives good? Well, look, you gave me all of these names of philosopher and politician, and you compare me to Dugin and Shchelin. Well, Shchelin is not as cool as you, but he still has a long time to go. But Dugin and Snezhana Egorova. Okay, so I'm gonna pick from all of that you said. I'm gonna pick sister. I am. We are all sisters and brothers in this world. So even scientists have proven that all of humanity have come from some small part of humanity that has spread and evolved. So we are all brothers and sisters. And it shows that we are this one organism called humankind. And we should look for things that unite us, not that divide us. And divide and conquer is the principle of the Satan. And he's always looking for what's dividing the humanity. And people are very individual, women, men, young, old, poor, rich, miserable, happy. There are things that differentiate us, but the most important thing is that will save humanity is what unites us. And if you're asking me what helped me to go through these hard times, and it's not only something that's going on right now, like these sanctions, I was very rudely and ugly lied upon when I was threatened and people threatened my life and my livelihood. It's nothing new if you look at it. Because if we on this Easter, happy Easter, talking about, remember what they did to Christ. They put him down. They beat him up. They tortured him. They threw stones at him. They crucified him and they destroyed him. Like they thought that they did, that they destroyed him, that they crucified him, that they spit in his face. But just because he is light and he is truth, he came back. He resurrected. And for me and for any human being, the truth that lives inside of you is what will help you. And I know maybe it's not connected to some holiness, but if you know that you are speaking the truth, that even let's say if if considering other people, maybe you're making a mistake, but to your inner self, from everything you know, from everything you experience, you're telling the truth and you want to deliver this to people. You want to open their eyes so they don't take them to the meat grinder, so they don't take their kids. You're trying to save them. And it's your truth. It helps. Because when you have your own truth, you will still find like minded people anywhere, any country, any continent. You will find people that are just like you, that speak the same truth. Because we get all the tragedy from humanity and all the help from humanity because God has no other hands than us. But the devil also doesn't have any other hands besides humanity. But if you have life principles that you are ready to suffer for, then you birth like minded people because you know exactly what is right and what is wrong. But if you don't, you will suffer sooner or later. Yeah, it was unpleasant to me, let's say. It was hurtful. They hurt my feelings because you understand that you ring all these warning bells, that you want to save their kids, that you want to save them, and they throw stones at you. It's very hurtful, but unfortunately we're not gods, and no one told us it will be easy, and no one told us that everyone should believe us, and history will show who was right all along. But me, I am doing whatever is in my power. I am speaking to people. I am describing the picture of the world the way I see it. But it's another question that they don't see it, that their eyes are enclosed in their illusions. They, whatever shamanistic rituals they are under. Uh, just like Papa Carlos said in Pinocchio, for Pinocchio to go to school, but Pinocchio skipped school because he didn't want to study the boring alphabet. He went to the circus and he sold his studies. So people like clownish buffoonery actions and all of these hellish flames a lot more, instead of this boring science, that this boring science teacher tries to deliver to you.
А вот самые такие темные
But
моменты,
in the most
что,
darkest
ну, как ты
moments
вот
in
сказал,
your
что
life,
тебе помогло, и, может,
what
вот ты бы
helped
могла
you? What would you say
посоветовать
helped you? Maybe you could give an
людям
advice
в такие вот
to people
действительно
in
темные
those
моменты, когда
very
уже
hard
готово вот
moments
сдаться,
when you
когда
feel like you
кажется,
want to
что
give up
там весь мир
and you feel
против
like
меня.
the whole world
Что
is
ты
against you?
посоветовал?
What would you recommend? What would you give? What would your advice be? Well, the best advice is go to sleep. That's the best practice. Go to sleep, because when your brain starts to go crazy, and the darkest hour is before sunrise, and when your organism is about to shut off, that's why your brain was created that way. When you can't take enough, it needs to be turned off. And so, because people scare themselves a lot more than anyone else, people just need to learn patience and know that the sun will come out, that the day will come, that sometimes the night could be longer than usual. And then when people are in this nighttime, they start to get different illusions of how time flies, maybe, or maybe there's crazy, scary figures on the walls, or maybe that God is not here. But as long as God is with us, who's against
Я так
us?
понял, что вот
I basically just
я
understood
еще раз
that
себе доказал, что вот ты
I
реально
proved to
амазонка, то есть
myself that you're
у
this
тебя даже
Amazon
по сути
warrior, because
нету таких
you
моментов, когда ты
don't
думаешь,
have these moments
все,
when you think that
то
that's
есть
it, right? That
все уже
everything is
плохо, скажем,
over,
ты все
that
равно у
it's
тебя что-то
the
внутреннее
edge.
такое есть,
So
да,
you have
наверное, вот
something
ты,
internal, I
наверное,
guess, that
родилась с
you were
таким
born with,
и воспитывала, конечно,
or
вокруг
obviously,
себя
and you were raised
и
with,
лелеяла
something
это,
inside of you
что ты
that
такой
you kept
человек,
all
что ты не
your life,
доходишь
that
до
you are
такого
such a
момента, что,
human
о
being that
боже,
you
все,
don't allow yourself to be in a moment of that's it. No, no, I never had that. I I really have this fearlessness in me. My friends always say that they don't understand why I walk towards disaster where no one would go towards. I guess I have this quality that was raised in within me and my family, and I was always a favorite child, a protected child. I felt I was. I always felt like I had protection behind me. I was never afraid to meet new kids, or that someone will hurt me or lie on me, because I always felt like I was under protection of the people close to me. And I developed this sense of safeness since an early age. I know that dangers exist, obviously, and life is not a store of teddy bears. It's just like, we explain to kids, don't go there because you can get hurt, or go pee before you go on a long trip. And there is a period where you're under control of your family, of the elders, in the sport section. And you have these elders that teach you to be safe, to be careful, because fearlessness is good, but it's good to an extent. Before you do something, you need to think about what you're doing. Before you go somewhere, you need to analyze the plans that you want to fulfill. You should know your risks. You should know what's safe, what's not safe. But life is an experience. We never know what's awaiting us. Even now, we don't know. Maybe the light will go out. Maybe the internet will go out. Maybe at this time somebody pushed the big red button already and something big is flying toward us, and or Yellowstone will explode. We don't have any guarantees. We know nothing for sure. But right now, we are communicating. We are saying something to one another. We are using our experience for something useful. We could be sleeping right now, but we are talking. And the people that are listening to us, they could have been right now, I don't know, watching passing trains and eating something sweet. It's an experience. Everyone picks whatever is interesting to them and whatever at this moment seems like it's the right thing to be doing. So do what you're supposed to.
Это очень круто, и я благодарю тебя за то, что ты
It's very
сказал,
cool.
что
Thank
нам
you
надо за,
that you
по
said
сути,
that we
каждую
should be
секунду быть
uh,
благодарными. Вот,
thankful and
благодарными за то, что у
appreciative
меня близкий
of the people
мой
that are
напарник,
close to
который
us. Shout
мероприятие
out to
сегодня
Daniel
месяц
that
теплой
passed. Today's a
молодежной. И
month.
вот
May he
я вот
rest in peace.
прохожу
And
какое-то
I'm
вот
going through this period
состояние
right now,
паранойи, вот
this
что-то у меня такое
mind state
паранойное
that a
на
half of me is like
смерть.
paranoid
С
about
другой
death, and the
стороны, у
other half,
меня перерождается такая
I'm having this
благодарность.
rebirth
Вот я
of
смотрю на жену, и я
appreciating
благодарен за эту секунду,
my
что вот она
close ones
здесь.
and appreciating every
Прихожу ее
single
обнимаю,
second.
я
Like I
понимаю,
see
что
my
вот
wife,
просто
I
я
want to
хочу сказать,
come up
что
to
эта
her at all
секунда, она
times
только сейчас. Вот
because I realize that we're
счастье,
only
ну,
guaranteed this
не
one
знаю, нам не
second. We don't,
гарантировано. И вот
nothing
я
is
стараюсь
promised.
абсолютно быть
So I'm trying
благодарным
to
за
use this every
каждую
second, not in
секунду.
a
Это
negative way, but in a
часто у
positive way,
людей
to
это
remember
эйфория такая, что проходит. И вот
that
я
all
стараюсь,
we have
чтобы
is
меня это не
right
проходило,
now.
ну, не с негативной стороны, а вот именно с позитивной стороны, что я благодарен, что она
I'm
есть,
very
что она
grateful
меня выбрала, что она здесь.
for my wife that she chose me,
И
that
я
she's
тебя
here.
хотел вот спросить, я
And I
всегда вот
wanted
своей
to
жене говорю, что вот
ask you,
смотри,
like I always
даже если, не дай
tell
бог,
my
меня не
wife,
будет,
even
что
if I'm
ты
not
есть
around,
ценная
you
сама
are
по себе, что
valuable
ты
on your
есть
own,
вот своя вселенная,
that
и ты
you are
всегда
your
ценная, и
own
нет разницы,
universe, you
есть
are
возле тебя мужчина или нет.
valuable,
И
and
вот
it
я
doesn't
тебя
matter
как
if you have a man or not.
сильная женщина, я
I
хотел
know
бы
that
тебя
you are a
спросить, что
strong
бы
woman.
ты
I wanted to
посоветовала
ask you, what
женщинам,
would you
которые думают всегда,
recommend to
что
women
им
that
надо
always think
мужчину,
that they
чтобы
need a
как-то себя
man
утвердить в этой
to feel
жизни, или мне
fulfilled,
надо кто-то
and
там,
I
чтобы себя утвердить? Что бы ты
I need
посоветовала?
someone, anyone to feel fulfilled? Oh man. Look, I have two books that I wrote.
Я прослушал,
I heard those books. So to talk to women, I wrote books about it that live by this social norms. There's nothing wrong that a woman wants to be next to a man. That's natural. A man is supposed to be next to the woman. It's beautiful. It's inspiring. It makes you strong as a man. It makes you a father later. It makes you brave. It's beautiful. For a woman, it's enriching. She feels protected that someone is next to them that will take care of them, take care of the children. And you need children to have a full family. And so the children could see the example of the relationship between the mom and the dad, that the child could go ride a bike with the father and bake some cookies with the mother, or go listen to some music or walk in a park. It's a norm. Every person needs to be healthy in that relationship, because a lot of people today are sick in those relationships, and false ideas are implemented of what is good and what is bad. Mass media is working very hard on the manipulation of driving people crazy. They're telling women, like, you don't need no man, you're strong, you can have, a family with two women or two fathers. um all kinds of stuff is being used now for brainwash. So in this crazy world, it's so hard to hear an opinion of a healthy minded person. It's very archaic. Humanity has overstepped the value of family, and that's why humanity is sick now, because you tell your wife, yeah, you're a universe, you don't need anyone, love yourself, keep going, and as long as you convince the woman of this, she's gonna leave you. She's not gonna need you. So what do you want for me to give you an advice to your wife, for her to feel a universe and that she's complete and she doesn't need you? She'll leave your ass, man. She'll walk away. She'll tell you, I don't need you no more.
Я про
I am I am for old conservative values, for love between man and a woman, like a quintessential meaning of love. And they should give birth to children and raise them and show them love and show them protection. Because why I am saying it? Because what I experienced in life, and what I understood, that whatever you're talking about, I got that in my family. Because if I didn't have that example of love from my family, I wouldn't be able to get normal, relationships. And I wouldn't become the human being that I am. And the experience o- of my soul, because the men that value this development in a woman and seeing a woman as a goddess, there are very few men that are like that. I was raised
это не так.
in such a clean surrounding that I thought all human beings were like this. And when I first ended up in a bad situation, I would always try to paint exceptional explanations for those situations. but I always wanted to have children. There are a lot of men that don't want to have children, and there are a lot of men that don't want to give birth, and they convince women not to have birth. But for a woman, having a child is probably the most important experience. It's the mission of a woman. After birth, a woman realizes what life is. Unfortunately, men cannot experience the same thing. A lot of men use women as sexual objects, and they don't protect these women, and they don't give them the opportunity of being a mother. So they commit two crimes, but it's a very difficult
У меня вопрос был, я извиняюсь,
synthetics.
у
I'm
меня
sorry.
вопрос был вот именно
I
для
had a question
женщин,
for
которые,
a
вот
woman
скажем, сейчас без
right now
мужчины,
that are
насколько
without
лучше, когда мы вот вместе. Вот я,
men.
я
I
один
mean,
человек
obviously, it's
был
better that
один, и я
people
помню,
are
что
together. I remember when I
первое
was
время
alone for
очень
many years,
скучно,
for like
даже
11 years. I
объятия,
remember I
поцелуйчики.
felt
Какими
like,
такими простыми
simple
вещами, что
things
я вот
like
начал понимать,
being
что это
affectionate.
ненормально, что, может, я это не получаю так долго.
And
Ну
I
вот смотри, вот
understood
моя
that
мама
not getting these
замечательная
things
женщина, сильная, вот она вот как
was
твоя мама,
abnormal. Look,
она
my
есть. И
mom,
вот у меня
right?
вопрос,
She's a
что
super
бы ты
strong
вот
woman. She's been
посоветовал
alone
таким
for
женщинам? То
many
есть
years. Like, what would you
что им
recommend to those
подходить
kind of women? That's what I
женщинам?
wanted to
И
ask you.
вот у меня такой вопрос. Как этим женщинам
Those
себя
women
внутри
that are
находить
single,
что-то такое, чтобы
how do they
они
find something
не
internal
думали, что мне только надо вот,
so
дай
they
мне
don't
любого, короче,
constantly
сейчас.
think like, give me any guy, but give me one? So look, women will never want just anybody. That's first of all. Second of all, there's a difference. There's not one recipe for everybody. When people eat the same food, they have different taste buds. So if you compare, let's say, your mom, someone that's at a older age that already had children, raised children, they sometimes choose to have that freedom, or what you call freedom, from the responsibilities of taking care of a man, let's say. So a woman at some age will not just want some, you know, sexual fulfillments, or for someone to be throwing socks around the house that you need to cook breakfast for and listen to some BS, and that snores next to you at night. At that older age, a woman is looking for more spiritual companionship, because you already fulfilled getting married and weddings and birth, education. So a woman could find herself being okay being alone. He could go traveling, or talk to friends, or whatever she uses that freedom for. And so no one ever checks up on her. Where did you go? What were you doing? Where's your money? Where's the money at? So at those situations, it's a choice. So I can't recommend anything to women, single women at my age, because maybe women my age made that decision individually. But if there are those that didn't make the choice and are suffering, I can't really tell them
Это очень
anything.
круто, это очень
That's really
важно.
cool. It's really
Вот
important.
быть неким таким
It's
вот
really important
внутри
to be an introvert, because a lot of people think that introvert is someone that's afraid to be afraid to be around other people, but a real introvert is someone that feels okay to be alone. Look, we're coming up to 40 minutes.
Me that you are alive.
So this will be me justifying myself. Why I always tell my wife that you are valuable even without me, because what I understood lately, that a nucleus family is the most important thing in our world, one of the most important things. But because the modern man hasn't fully mentally evolved, and instead of looking at his family as one organism, he takes the side of the leader, but the egotistical leader, calling shots instead of feeling and listening to his family. You know, instead of like these fake conservatives calling shots on their wives. So that's why I really want women to understand that anything could happen. Let's say I rap, right? Or I make music. And let's say we're here, right? On a level together. And then let's say I start going up, 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 and she stays behind as far as her own internal evolution. So that's why for me it's very important for my wife to also be doing something for herself. So we always feel like we're on this one level. Of course, in a family, the man is a leader, but I want my wife not to feel like she's lower. What do you think? Am I going crazy? No, it's it's actually simple thinking about linear evolution, because look, evolution is different. You can evolve up, you can evolve fulfilling the space, all kinds of ways. You don't go vertical, or you can go in depth. So each individual has their own moments of evolution. And if you don't have two human beings that are in unison in that movement, you know, they don't have this mutual understanding of what is separation for them and what is oneness. But I don't know that there's a guarantee that people consciously understand what that even is. But I think that, well, I think that people should evolve. But who says that someone is degrading or prospering? Sometimes it looks like someone is prospering, but they could be headed down like a speeding bullet so fast. Look, Vladimir Zelensky, he looks like he thinks probably that he's evolving, that he's more bigger, that he's better. But look, but there are signs. You can see him that he's all coming out, blown up. He looks tired. He looks coked up. He doesn't look like he's evolving. Look like you're shining. Look, from the side, we see him like that. But imagine he's in this individual micro world. And first, I'm this poor kid from the block, from Krivy Rog in the 90s. I'm all gangster and type. And I'm dreaming of all of these bigger things. I'm looking at all these oligarchs that have houses and castles and all of this. So I'm going to go to this person and that person and go to Snezhana Egorova. Doesn't matter. and I will get my way. So he has his own criteria of what evolvement is to him. To him, the more people that are celebrating him, like, from Moscow to Kiev, and then he's in the Congress of the United States, and then he's spitting at Trump. He has millions and billions on his bank account. He has a huge pile of coke on his table, you know, just like in Scarface when Al Pacino dipped his head in that pile of coke. He has yachts and castles and islands and cars and banks, and he got everything. So he thinks he's evolving. He worked so hard, right? He went deeply into that nothingness, you know, and he's diving into the ninth circuit of hell, like Dante's Alighieri. So to him, it seems like he worked hard all his life, and now he's finally reaping the results. He's enjoying the fruits of life. But that the fact that he sold his soul to the devil, that showed him the path to all of these uh, kingdoms, and that the world is dependent on him now, and everyone knows him, and so he thinks he's evolving. But us, we think that he's
Но у нас
degrading.
в обществе уже
But
все
look,
равно
in
есть такие
society, we
критерии,
still
да, мы
have
видим, кто
different criterias who's evolving
развивается. То
and
есть все равно
who's
есть какие-то
degrading.
визуальные вещи. То есть,
We still have
понимаешь,
ethical
вот
and visual. Well, what kind of society are you talking about now? Because look, in Ukraine, there are thousands and thousands of people that still consider him as the president, that will still go and vote for him. People that are convinced that he's saving them, even though cemeteries are growing like mushrooms. People that are applauding Zelensky, that don't imagine any other president, because they're ready to, they're closing their eyes that people are getting snatched off the street and kids are getting shipped abroad. They are ready to protect their president. If they would really understand that he's degrading, they wouldn't take arms. They wouldn't be sitting in trenches in the dirt. They wouldn't be dying. They would hear common sense, but they don't hear it, and they will be degrading with him. They will be de-evolving with him. You understand? So how are we supposed to convince them that they are degrading if they are convinced that they are evolving? And they're all, sitting around watching TV that's telling them that they're evolving. You know, Vedison, Kisilev, Potnikov, all these people that are telling them to look, two thumbs up, everything is good in your life. Look, I even got fireworks going around me. You know, they're evolving. Yesterday, I watched one video. It was crazy. I don't watch that trash, but I watched Vedesnya, and he said that everything is good in Ukraine. I was shocked. He's selling them a dream that they're about to have investments, that we should be building warehouses because Trump made 10% tariff to Ukraine. So Ukraine will get all these goods from China and Europe, and they will sell it back to America for 10% instead of selling it for 85% to whoever else. So they're building these warehouses. They're waiting for golden rain showers. They're ignoring that there are millions that are killed and millions have scattered and children are in basements and it's total craziness and poverty. Vadisnes doesn't see all of this. He tells Kisilyov two thumbs up. We're living good. We're living great. We are evolving. So how will you prove to them that they are degrading? We can talk about philosophical things and all of this, but they will have, a little joint, drink a little, snort a little line, and they will tell people that everything's good. And then they will hop on their island or their yacht and cruise into the sunset. And they will be telling the poor Ukrainians how they're evolving, you know. And just wait, you Ukrainians, because all Chinese and Europeans will bring goods for you to sell to America. Do you understand the dumbness of what I'm saying? Yeah, I looked at these crazy mineral deals and everything. It's insane. Maybe you will agree with me that there is destructive energy and then there's a building energy. And if you really want to see if someone is evolving, look at Zelensky. He's all paranoid, snorted up. And then you will come and look at Snezhana Egorova. You can see the polar opposites because she's always smiling. She's always giving us good energy. So I know that there are people and that there's energy that builds me up. Look, that's the way you think. That's the way you feel. That's the way you chose to feel. And that's why we are on the same wave. And the people that listen to me, and the other side of people that are evolving, they're like, look at this lady. She's always screaming. She's always saying BS. She's doing everything because she's jealous of us, because she's jealous of Zelensky, because he's popular, because he didn't take her to shoot a movie with him. She's un you know and Snezhana Egorova helped Zelensky and he didn't help her, so now she's mad. So now she wants everyone to remember her, and she's using his name to be scandalous. She's like causing all these scandals. She's maybe even hitting her kids, right? Or, how could you listen to her? That's the other side of the people. That's the way they're talking. Look, I want to say, first of all, Snezhana Egorova will always be young and always be shining. My mom also is like that. Second of all, I want people to understand it's not that Snezhana Egorova wants to be remembered. Look, all these huge channels, go check, are all inviting Snezhana Egorova to their programs. But I just want to say, look at the goodness of Snezhana Egorova. Because look, I have a small channel. And when I wrote her, she answered. And she's here. And usually when we post it on the other channel, it's always good comments. Some people are like, oh, the host can't really hang with Snezhana Egorova. I'm like, of course I can't hang with Snezhana Egorova. But look, I want people to understand that it's us that want to hear from you. And even those haters, they are on your streams, they are on your videos, they are still checking for you, they're watching you. And I'm going back to what I said before. I still know that, yeah, maybe I choose this, but there is destructive energy and that there's building energy. And yes, sometimes a human being can be such energetically charged that negative could be positive for that person, but that's a very small percentage of people. And mostly we know what's destructive and what's building. Look, we're here for almost an hour. I have like one last question. And yeah, I want you to remember that it's us that want to hear from you. It's us that are impatient to know what you are thinking. For us, you've been like this voice of conscience in the last 3 years. So we're grateful for what you're doing. I didn't want to make this conversation super harsh and political or philosophical, but for people like us, people from Ukraine, even though that I grew up in the States, I still feel what's going on over there. How do you, in your own head, explain situations and incidents like Sumy, let's say, or Kryvyi Rog, when a crazy explosion happens and civilians are hurt? How do you explain it for yourself? Look, there's a war. And while people want for this war to continue, while they are arming themselves, while they still listen to these destructive voices, while they are cursing one another, while they send their children into the trenches, this will continue. While they are still applauding Zelensky, this will continue. While Zelensky is traveling around the world and begging all these tanks and weapons and money, he's asking for death. He's asking for the death of the country that he's a president of. And he has no compassion for the people. He illegally took over power. He paused every constitutional action, every constitutional law he paused in Ukraine. Verkhovna Rada has become an organized crime syndicate, and he's the leader of it. He's committing these crimes. He sold Ukraine's land. He is the one that commands Ukrainian lives, and he has absolutely no right to do that and to sell Ukrainian minerals which belong to the people, the air. He stole from the people. He stole the power of the people. He kicked millions out into the world, and he brought death into that land, and he put it onto the people, so he's not responsible for all of this. You can't explain this any other way. If people agree that this criminal is their leader, they are also co-criminals. And if they keep screaming, you know, that we want tanks to be in the Kremlin, in the Red Square, that we're going to keep going. Those people that used to say that if your children sit in the basements, then guess what? Your children will sit in the basements. As long as they will not want justice and to be saved, and for people to exist, and they realize that we don't need any more weapons, we don't need any more bombs, we need peace. Remember how many mothers cried over these dead bodies, and the people from Western Ukraine would say, look, they're collaborators. So they used to wish death on people from the Donbass. And those people that wish death on someone, they should know the death will come to their house. It's a law of the boomerang. Whatever you throw out there, it will come back. As long as, and I've been begging them, stop the hatred. Go apologize. Go ask for forgiveness and go forgive. And there's no way to ending this unless it's peace, and you need to communicate into peace. There's no war into peace. And this criminal, he keeps wanting this war, and whoever is supporting Zelensky, they legitimize his actions. They are applauding him, and they don't stop him. They agree with his politics. Then they should be ready that they're gonna die for Zelensky. He's not gonna die for you. He's gonna go on. He's gonna hop on a blue helicopter and go into some nice tropical island where in somewhere in the Pacific, and smoke bamboo and drink co- and drink cognac and snort coke. That's what he's gonna do with bank accounts in the Swiss banks, and Macron's gonna come visit him. He lied to the Ukrainian people. He knew what he was doing, and as long as people don't acknowledge this, and as long as people send their brothers, their fathers, their sons into war, this will continue. How else? How else? My heart is broken when I see this. Ever since 2014, since the children of Donbass, when Kakhovskaya gas, where I'm from, that flooded my city, you know, it's the it flooded the streets where I used to play when I was a kid. The theater that I first played in, it was swimming in water. Of course, I was heartbroken. How
Да,
else
вот ты
should I
затронул
react?
что-то очень сильно
Look,
важное, и
you
у меня
touched
был
on something
такой
very
известный
important.
журналист Николай
I
Патиченко,
had
он
this
сказал что-то
journalist
очень
Nikolai
важное, что
Petichenko, and he
вот
said
эта
something
вся гниль
very important, that
коррупционная,
all of this
она
dirt,
идет
this
снизу вверх,
corruption
ну, это не то, что оно сверху вниз, а
trash
снизу
hole,
вверх, то есть
it's not that it comes from the
небеса
top to the bottom. It comes from the
настолько
bottom to the top.
коррумпированы,
It
и
comes
может
from
быть
the
потому
people.
мы
The
выбираем
people
всегда
are
вот таких
corrupt. And that
президентов.
is why we
Как ты
choose
думаешь
such
на этот счет?
presidents. What do you think about that? Yeah, that's how it is. As long as the people with the milk of their mother are feeding on this bandit mentality, and they think that that's normal, that it's okay to steal, to take away, to kill, to snitch on your close ones, take someone else's place under the sun, take someone's apartment, take someone's belongings, take someone's cars, take someone's bank accounts. As long as you applaud that, what else do you expect? Who else is going to be good to those people if they are like this to one another? They turned away from God. They started, instead of wishing well on your neighbor, they started to wish bad on their neighbor. And Zelensky, all he's doing is killing, stealing, and pillaging. What else can you say about the people that are supporting him, that are applauding him, that are following him? He's going into hell, and they following him into hell.
Абсолютно, Снежана Егорова, ты всегда
Absolutely.
замечательно. У меня последний
Snezhana
вопрос,
Egorova, you are
просто
always
буду тебя
wonderful. I have
обрезать, и
one
так
last
уже очень
question.
долго, ну, мы
I
уже
thought
так
the
долго
previous one
спілкуємося.
was going to be
У меня
last, but
последний такой
this is
вопрос.
the last question.
разговаривал с
So
там разными
I talked
геополитическими
to different
экспертами вот здесь, в
geopolitical
Штатах, многие люди
experts
говорят, что
in the
выглядит так,
States.
что
They
уже
are saying
все
that
к
we are
концу.
coming
Знаешь, ты
close
когда-то
to
говорила, что,
the
скорее всего,
conflict.
будет все до 30-го
You
года, вот
previously
так,
said that it will probably last until
прошлого столетия.
to
И у меня такой
2030.
двухсторонний вопрос.
So I have a
Мы
two-sided
идем
question.
сейчас к
Are
какому-то
we
концу,
headed
не просто
towards
перемирию какому-то,
peace,
а к
not
какому-то
just a
концу?
ceasefire,
И
but peace
что
in Ukraine?
делать с
And
Западной Украиной?
what
Потому что Западная
should
Украина
we
всегда
do
была
with
таким
Western
неким
Ukraine? Because
слабым
Western Ukraine has
звеном
always
на
been the
Руси. То есть
weak
всегда был
link
враг,
in the on
заходил с
Rus,
этой
and
стороны.
the
Так
enemy
что
always
двухсторонний
came
такой
through
вопрос.
Western Ukraine. So
Мы можем
two-sided
надеяться, что
question.
уже все
Can we hope
заканчивается, и
that
что
everything is
делать с
coming
Западной
to an
Украиной?
end? And what should we do Western Ukraine? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I really think, well, as far as Western Ukraine goes, they are the ones that always give the keys to the enemy. And to them, the enemy is always the strong one. They always lay under the strong ones. And ever since the Soviet Union broke up, the West started to think Slavic countries are weak. They are on their knees. So Western Ukraine gave the keys to the West. The West, the European Union, Brussels, the ones that think that they are the winners of World War II and they are the descendants of the heroes. So the Ukrainians are dreaming of all these Rolls Royces and European privilege. And they're ready to sell one another completely. And we are in fact weak, the Slavic people, because we allowed for the enemy to get into Ukraine, into Kiev. And it's not only Western Ukraine, they convinced the whole of Ukraine. The whole of Ukraine is a poisoned society, and I don't know what to do with that. And it's spreading all around the world. And that saying everything is Ukraine is becoming very trendy. All of their bandit like sciences and actions of how to rob the system, other European countries are copying this. It's simple. Just get into power or find someone in power and start to steal from the country's saves. And Ukraine has become this huge laundromat for money laundering. And the Spanish, the Italian, the French, they're all washing their money in Ukraine through this war with the help of Zelensky. And it's a conspiracy of the elite over the regular people. All of these systems have been worked on in the United States of America. The Democratic Party, the wonderful Democratic Party, came up with the system of how to steal from the American voters, from the citizens. They convinced the people
На
that
демократии, да?
the democracy is at stake. And really, Western Ukraine is everywhere now. It's right there where you are in America. There's a little bit of that in each country's parliament now. It's everywhere now, that system of the thief in law. And if you remember, I didn't say it will all last until 2030. I said 2045. And if we don't get hit with the nuclear weapon, that will be the best case. And because everyone is juggling this idea of nuclear holocaust and all of these sick elites that can easily confuse reality and press the button, and it will be all over. I just pray that these buttons are under good control, but we don't have any guarantees. And if we got this phenomena in the world of Vladimir Zelensky that was able to blow this war from Donbass to the Ukraine and now to the whole of Europe, he's trying to collide Europe against the United States. Basically, we're not safe from anything. If that could happen, anything is possible. So, what do you think that the hot phase of this war in Ukraine, it will not be ending soon? No, I'm sure that they will bring good faith arms and soldiers from Europe, troops on the ground, because there are countries in Europe that hate Russia that much. They have this motive, they have this goal. So the only thing that I pray that saves us is historical memory of what happened to the ones that tried to do the same in the last century. And maybe as soon as international forces will be in Ukraine, maybe then Ukrainians will remember that they are Slavs. Because, you know, until they think that Russia is occupying them and they forgot our history and our traditions and cultures, and they are stepping on the graves of soldiers from World War II. As long as they don't remember this, as long as they follow that drug addict killer Zelensky, the devil in flesh. I said many times that he's the devil in the flesh. This will continue. Yeah, I think that he's soulless. I think he doesn't have a soul. Yeah, I don't. He doesn't have a soul. He sold his soul to the devil. He's and he's serving his sovereignty. Listen, as long as we have human beings like you, I still know that everything will be good. We will break through together. And Snezhana Egorova, you are always true. You're always honest. We're following you. We're watching you. You're always young. You're always wonderful. You're always shining. And doesn't matter who hates, we love you more. You know that we always waiting for you to come back. We're always waiting for what you will say. You are valuable to us. We love you. And I wish only good things come your way. Would you like to wish something to our Prove to Me That You're Live watchers? Thank you, Nazar, for such good words. I always have a good time speaking with you, and we write one another back and forth kind words. And, people really miss a very huge value, and it destroys them more than rockets or bombs. And people are not grateful. People only want to use and misuse. Their ego just wants to suck things in, and they are not grateful. And as long as you are grateful and you want to share something with the goodness of sharing, because you can always share something negative. You can share negative experiences, or you can sincerely share, because the sense of devils are exploding more and more. Their name is the Legion. Because if you remember the proverb, when Christ took the demon out of that one man at the Jordan River, and he asked, "Who am I talking to?" And the voice said, "The Legion." So Christ took those demons and devils out of that human being and put him into the pigs, and the pigs, like these crazy wild animals, jumped from the cliff. They destroyed themselves. So people should not be empty like pigs. So the demon doesn't occupy them. And if a demon tries to occupy them, that they have that heavenly glory to fight those demons. And Ukrainian society right now are a bunch of pigs. They are crazy. They are feeling this demonic force, and they're right at the edge, and they're right, they're jumping, they're falling already, and they keep going and keep dragging everyone else in. That's all that we are seeing. So I want to wish for everyone to stop for a second, especially in these holy days. Stop and turn to God. And God never abandons as long as you don't turn away from God.
Ты знаешь, я вот еще хочу сказать, что
I also
такой человек, как
want to say
Диллингер, вот
that
для меня персонально,
someone like
ты
you,
возвращаешь вот какую-то всегда веру в
for me,
человечество,
always
ну,
brings
всегда вот
back faith in humanity.
благодарен, потому что
And
ты даришь
that's
мне вот
what I am
вот мой напарник,
thankful
который
for. My
рядом тоже
partner,
был один из этих
Daniel,
людей,
he
который
was
мне подарил
one of
вот
those
веру в человечество.
persons that
И
brought back
ты
faith
точно
in
сказал, что
humanity.
вот
And
сегодня как раз
today,
ночью Христос
Christ,
спускался
tonight,
в ад
Christ went to
спасти
hell to
души.
save
И
souls.
так, как Снежана Егорова сказала,
And
заглянитесь
just like Snezhana Egorova
внутрь
said, look
сердца
inside of
и
yourself
будьте честны с
and be
собой,
honest with
что вы
yourself
там увидите. Это
and to
была
what you see. This
прекрасная,
was
великолепная,
the
всегда сияющая
wonderful,
Снежана
shining
Егорова.
Snezhana
И
Egorova.
это был
This was proof
Дмитрий
to me that
Разин.
you're
Спасибо
alive.
большое.
Thank you.
Воистину воскрес. До свидания.